Hey, it's Kyler, and after my recent video where I talked about why I loved history, I got a comment from a viewer basically requesting I do a tour of my nonfiction books. I thought that was an interesting idea. I did a bookshelf tour on my channel, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago, so my books have changed dramatically since then. So I decided to do that, and I'm actually going to do 2 video tours. I'm first going to do this nonfiction tour, and then sometime soon I'll also do a tour of my fiction books. And then maybe later this year I might do an updated tour of my Star Wars books. I know I did a video about that a few years ago, but I've got a few more of those as well. So first up in this series of book tours in 2017 is a tour of the nonfiction books I currently have. So I hope you enjoy, and enjoy the tour. Alright, so here's all my bookshelves. The one on the far left, the smaller one, is all my Star Wars books. Then the next 2 on the left are my fiction novels. And then the third large one, third from the left, is all nonfiction. And then the last one on the right, the top shelf is nonfiction, and the next 3 shelves of books are books into my to-be-read pile. Basically a combination of nonfiction and fiction. Alright, so here are my nonfictions. I'm not going to highlight each of these, but I'll kind of do some ones of interest. The Sword and the Shield is a very interesting look at the history of the KGB. There are some books there that I read in college for my political science and government major. Stalingrad is a very interesting book about the siege of Stalingrad during World War II. It's maybe my favorite World War II novel. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is a awesome book and a even better movie in my opinion. The First Americans, a great biography about Benjamin Franklin. If you haven't noticed the theme yet or pattern, my books are listed in ABC order by author. Then you have the very famous In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, great book. And then currently a very famous book, Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. I read that book a few years ago when it first came out, and of course it later became famous as the book that inspired the musical Hamilton. And let's go down to the next shelf. A biography there on Stonewall Jackson, very interesting figure. The Catcher Was a Spy, a very interesting nonfiction book. The Worst Hard Time, a great book about the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression. The Diary of Anne Frank, I'm sure everybody is very familiar with that, very important piece of work. The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman is a very interesting look at the modern world. The Lost City of Z, which was just recently made into a movie. Book's awesome. Movie was pretty good as well. Massacre at the Palace, a very interesting look at the royal family of Nepal. Rebel Yell, another book about Stonewall Jackson. And then the Federalist Papers, another book that Alexander Hamilton contributed actually. Another book about Stonewall Jackson, that's actually my favorite. I've read that one several times. It's considered one of the better works of military history and kind of study of strategy, so it's very interesting. Got some more books there that I read in college from my major. Rubicon's a very interesting look at the kind of how the Roman Republic transitioned to the empire. The Plantagenets, a very interesting look at that royal family of England. The Perfect Storm, a great book. I really recommend it, and another great movie. A couple books by Martin Luther King. Amazing to read, very inspiring. Next up, you have The Devil in the White City, which is the most recent nonfiction book I read. American Vertigo is kind of a modern look of America from a French philosopher, and is very, very interesting. Really enjoyed that one a lot. The Russian Civil War, it's a good look at the fall of basically the Russian Empire and the various factions that were involved in that. The Russian Civil War is a very complicated subject to study because there were so many groups involved, but that's a great book that kind of delves into it. The River of Doubt is an amazing book about Teddy Roosevelt and his exploration of a river in Brazil Franklin and Winston. It's a great book about the relationship between FDR and Winston Churchill. Theodore Rex is another great book about Teddy Roosevelt, who might be, in my opinion, the most interesting figure in American political history. A couple books by Barack Obama, The Republic of Plato, another book I had to read for college. Warriors of God is a very interesting look at the Crusade from Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. Very, very, very interesting book. That's Napoleon Bonaparte's a very, very comprehensive biography on Bonaparte that I really enjoyed a lot. Mockingbirds, kind of a biography on Harper Lee. FDR, very good biography on FDR. The artist, philosopher, and the warrior is a very interesting look at a specific period of history during the Italian Renaissance. And let me go up to the other shelf. Last little row of fiction books here. The Democracy in America, that's kind of the more book that inspired American Vertigo, which I talked about earlier. The Guns of August is a great book about the opening month of World War I that I read late last year. Genghis Khan's interesting look at Genghis Khan and the Mongolian Empire and how it shaped the world we live in today. And that's kind of an overview of my nonfiction books. So I hope you enjoyed that tour. Like I said, I plan to later, sometime soon, to do a tour similar of my fiction books. So if you have any questions about any of the books that you saw on my bookshelf for nonfiction, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be glad to tell you more about them. Happy reading, and I'll see you the next time.